Welcome to episode 27 of the Resurrection Podcast. I am Acusio Bivona. We need to have a brutally honest conversation today about what actually fuels your execution. You're an executive. You're a high-level operator managing immense complexity, rapid decision-making, and relentless pressure. You run your business on strict metrics. You track your P&L. You optimize your supply chains, and you measure the output of your teams. If a piece of software in your company was operating at 40% capacity, you would immediately fire the vendor or rebuild the code. You demand absolute efficiency from your business. But when it comes to the actual physical engine that powers every single one of those decisions, your own body, you completely abandon the math. You treat your nutrition as a cosmetic chore or a massive inconvenience. You run on caffeine, pure adrenaline, and whatever fast, unplanned meal you can grab between meetings. You view eating not as securing a vital fuel supply line, but as an annoying distraction from the work. You are making a massive, compounding operational error. So today, we're stripping away the diet industry bullshit. We're not talking about counting calories, and we're not talking about generic restrictive meal plans. We're talking about your fuel system. We're going to look at the exact physical reasons why your energy completely falls off a cliff in the afternoon, why you walk through your front door completely depleted, and why you must stop treating your physical engine like a secondary afterthought. So let's look at exactly how a highly intelligent man fundamentally mismanages his own energy and why he doesn't even realize he's doing it until it's too late. It starts the exact minute you wake up. Because you view food as an inconvenience, you skip a calibrated, intentional breakfast. You substitute actual physical fuel with massive doses of caffeine and the immediate stress of your inbox. And for the first few hours, you feel untouchable. You're highly productive. You're firing off emails, delegating tasks, and managing rapid-fire crises all before 9 a.m. But you have to understand that this is a fake energy. You're not operating on clean, sustainable fuel. You're operating on an artificial deficit, actively borrowing energy from tomorrow to pay for today. It's the exact same thing as redlining a high-performance engine without a drop of oil. It'll run fast, right up until it violently seizes. And by the time 1 p.m. rolls around, the morning adrenaline starts to wear off. Your brain is exhausted. Because you completely lack an automated, reliable system for your fuel, you're forced to make a reactive decision. So you grab whatever is fastest or closest. And it's usually a heavy, unplanned meal dictated by a client lunch or a catering tray in the boardroom or the nearest drive-thru. And you tell yourself, I don't have time to plan my food. I just need to get something in my stomach and get back to work. But what you actually just did was initiate a massive blood sugar spike. You didn't secure the fuel line. You just poured cheap, dirty gas into a Ferrari, guaranteeing an inevitable, massive crash. Now let's look at the exact moment where that uncalibrated fuel completely fails you in real time. At 2:45 p.m., you're likely concluding a high-stakes meeting. Your mind still feels relatively sharp, your arguments are structured, and you secure the win. You feel good about the execution, and your ego is temporarily satisfied. But the second you walk out of that boardroom and sit back down at your desk, the physical reality of your adrenaline dropping and that heavy, uncalibrated lunch takes hold with brutal efficiency. By 3, you hit a massive physical wall. The severe brain fog rolls in. You find yourself staring at your monitor, rereading the exact same simple email 3 times without actually comprehending a single word. Your eyelids become uncontrollably heavy, and your engine begins to severely lag. Using the exact metrics you use to run your company, your processing speed drops, and your output plummets to near zero. Your physical body completely stops supplying power to your brain. It redirects all of your energy to try and process the heavy garbage you just ate, completely shutting down the exact tool you rely on for high-level strategy, patience, and leadership. And in a desperate attempt to regain command, you reach for a third coffee or an energy drink. You're trying to force a second wind that never actually arrives. So you spend the entire remainder of your afternoon running at half speed, merely reacting to the noise, snapping at your employees, and just watching the clock instead of proactively leading your company. You can't outthink a physical power failure. So how do we solve this 3 p.m. power failure? Because you're a highly successful executive, your first instinct is to try and buy a solution. You may assume that because you have money and resources, you can simply purchase your way out of a failing body. But let's look at your current routine. You buy a premium tracker for your fingers so you can watch your own physical decline in high definition every morning. You order expensive greens powders. You install a cold plunge in your garage, and you buy an expensive sauna. You do all of this high-level, expensive recovery work at 6 a.m., but by 1:30, you're eating a heavy, greasy sandwich from a catering tray in the boardroom. It's completely backwards. You're trying to bolt expensive premium accessories onto a body that's actively starving for basic food. You're trying to outspend a fundamentally broken routine. You're trying to use your money to bypass the absolute necessity of doing the actual unglamorous work of feeding yourself correctly. And when those expensive tools inevitably fail to fix your afternoon crash, you fall back on the ultimate executive excuse. You look at your calendar, you see the back-to-back meetings, and you tell yourself, I'm just too busy managing this company to plan my meals. I have to sacrifice my own health for the good of the business. That is a complete lie. You are not too busy. You have time to play 18 holes of golf on a Friday. You have time to sit at a 2-hour steak dinner with a client. You're just refusing to lead yourself with the exact same strict, uncompromising standards that you demand from your own employees. You would never allow your CFO to manage the company finances based on his daily mood or total guesswork. But you allow the CEO of the company to run his own physical engine on total chaos. You can't buy your way out of this, and you can't excuse your way out of it either. So this is where we fundamentally change how you operate. We don't put you on a restrictive diet. Diets are a massive trap for high-level men. A diet is a temporary emotional reaction to a long-term failure. And more importantly, diets require massive amounts of daily willpower. And as a man carrying the weight of a company, making hundreds of micro decisions every morning, your willpower is completely drained by noon. So if you rely on just willpower to choose a clean lunch at 1 p.m. when you're stressed and exhausted, you'll lose every single time. We don't do diets. We build a fuel architecture. Think about your payroll. You don't wake up on a Friday morning, look at your bank account, and try to guess how you're going to pay your team. You don't leave it up to chance, and you don't make it an emotional decision. It's an automated, non-negotiable system. It runs in the background, securing the stability of the entire company. Your daily food must be treated with that exact same level of executive respect. We have to completely eliminate the reactive 1 p.m. panic. We remove the guessing game entirely. Building a fuel architecture means you make the decision exactly once before your work week even begins. If you have the capital, you delegate it. You hire a premium service to drop exactly what you need at your office door. If you don't, you standardize it yourself on a Sunday. Either way, when Tuesday at 12:30 hits, you don't guess what you're going to eat. You don't rely on catering trays, and you don't ask your assistant to just order whatever is fast. You eat for power, not for entertainment. When you automate your food, you stop relying on cheap adrenaline to survive the afternoon. You protect the engine, and you guarantee that the man making the high-stakes decisions at 4 p.m. is operating with the exact same undeniable clarity he had at 8 a.m. And when I tell an executive he needs to automate his food, his brain immediately overcomplicates it. He pictures a fitness influencer spending 4 hours on a Sunday weighing out almonds into 20 different plastic containers. Or he assumes he needs to hire a private chef for $3,000 a month or sign up for a highly complex, expensive delivery service. He thinks securing his food has to be a massive, stressful drain on his time. That's also completely backwards. You're a high-level operator. You don't have time to play chef. You don't need a 5-star culinary experience. You need a reliable power supply. This execution is actually brutally simple. You treat your food exactly like a business supply chain. Think like a chief operating officer managing procurement. You walk into a bulk warehouse like Costco once a week. You don't browse the center aisles. You don't look for things that are highly entertaining to eat. You bypass that noise entirely. You buy the exact non-negotiable basics. You buy the pre-cooked rice. You grab massive quantities of grilled chicken or high-quality steak. You load up on clean staples like plain Greek yogurt. You're not buying groceries. You're buying raw fuel for the engine. Then you take exactly 60 minutes on a Sunday and you assemble the system. You don't cook complicated recipes. You just construct the meals. You secure the food. You portion it out into identical containers. You lock them in the fridge, and you're done. The decision is permanently made for the next 5 days. So when Monday morning hits, you just grab the fuel and walk out the door. It's incredibly low effort, and this is what I do because it's highly efficient and it completely removes the exhausting guessing game from your daily calendar. Now let's look at the actual reality of a Tuesday afternoon when this system is finally running. We're back at 2:45 p.m. You just walked out of that heavy, high-stakes meeting. That morning adrenaline has entirely worn off. Think about the old version of you. The old version would be sitting at his desk, feeling a heavy, greasy sandwich from a catering tray sitting in his stomach like a brick. The old version would be actively scanning the office, desperate to find an excuse to go get another coffee. But the new version of you, you ate your automated fuel at 1 p.m. It took you exactly 12 minutes to eat, and it required zero mental bandwidth to decide on. 3 p.m. is here. You look around your office, and you can literally watch the rest of your company crashing. You see your employees yawning, checking their phones, and losing their focus. But you? There is no brain fog. There is no sudden drop in your mental speed. Instead, you experience a steady, unbroken line of energy. You sit at your desk, and your mind is completely sharp. Then the real test arrives. It's now 4:30, the final stretch of the day, and a massive problem hits your desk. A key client tries to back out of a deal, or a vendor makes a critical error. The exhausted, starving version of you would have taken it personally. You would have snapped at your assistant, made a reactive, angry decision just to make the problem go away, and left the office feeling completely drained. But the man operating on an unbroken line of energy doesn't react. You observe the problem. You make the correct calculated call, and you execute the solution with the exact same quiet power and patience you had at 8 in the morning. You have completely protected your leadership from a physical crash. You stopped relying on emotion, and you finally built the system to carry the massive weight of your own company. Finally, let's look at the absolute most important reality of this entire system. The true test of your fuel architecture doesn't happen in the boardroom at 4:30. The ultimate test happens at 6, when you finally pull into your driveway and turn the engine off. Think about the old version of you again. The man running on morning adrenaline, random catering food, and 3 afternoon coffees. By the time that man arrives at his house, he's completely empty. He has absolutely nothing left in the tank. Look at what actually happens. You turn off the ignition, but you don't get out of the car. You sit there in the driveway for an extra 10 minutes, staring at the steering wheel, trying to manually force yourself to find enough energy just to open your own front door. And when you finally walk in, you ignore your kids. You immediately head for the bedroom or the couch, telling your wife you just need 20 minutes to decompress, but you actually just disappear into your phone. Or you immediately pour a heavy drink just to numb the jarring transition between the stress of the office and the demands of your home. You give your business, your board, and your clients your absolute best energy. And you give your wife and your children the absolute scraps. That is the harsh but undeniable reality of a failing engine. When you install this system, you completely rewrite the end of your day. You pull into the driveway, and you don't need to hide in your car. Because you secured your food, and because you maintain that steady, unbroken line of energy all afternoon, you walk through the front door with a massive surplus. When the heat of the house hits you, the kids running, the noise, the evening chaos, you don't flinch. You don't need to collapse on the couch. You have the actual, undeniable energy to get on the floor and play with your kids. You have the focus to look your wife in the eye and hold a real, grounded conversation without your mind desperately wandering back to your inbox. You're no longer just financially funding your family's life from a safe, exhausted distance. You have the physical power to actually participate in it and to lead it. You step into your home as the exact same grounded, powerful man you were at 8 in the morning. It's time to wrap this up. You have solved massive, incredibly complex problems to build your business. You've managed payrolls, hired and fired teams, and navigated massive market shifts. You are a highly intelligent, highly capable man who knows how to build things that last. But you can't outthink a starving engine. You can't use a corporate spreadsheet to fix a crashing body, and you can't buy enough expensive recovery tools to bypass the absolute non-negotiable necessity of eating for daily power. Your business, your employees, and your family are all actively relying on you to carry the load. You can't meet those heavy demands if you're treating your own body like a secondary afterthought. Stop relying on the morning adrenaline. Stop treating your food like a massive inconvenience. And stop guessing what you're going to eat at 1 p.m. when you're already exhausted. If you're a high-level operator who is sick and tired of hitting that 3 p.m. wall, if you're tired of relying on caffeine to survive the afternoon, and if you're ready to build a physical system that actually supports the massive weight of your life, it's time to make the move. Go to coachkuz.com, and apply for the resurrection strategy call. I will be the man in your corner. We will strip away the diet industry bullshit, the guessing games, and the excuses you've been telling yourself. We will locate exactly where your fuel system is failing, and we will install the strict, non-negotiable standards of the resurrection protocol to rebuild your physical engine from the ground up. Stop guessing. Start building. Tune the engine. Rebuild the machine. Resurrect the man. I am Acusio Bivona, and I will see you in the work.